So, yeah, we've decided to sit down, do a bit of a podcast.
Yeah.
Just dump a load of thoughts, basically, get through a few things, and kind of treating this as a bit of a get-to-know you session. So, yeah, I guess, do you want to just introduce yourself? What is it you do? Tell us a little bit about the work you do, really.
Yeah, so I'm Daniel Hurley. I'm the Managing Director of GW PowerSafe. That's a business that I founded 10 years ago, actually, after I got made redundant. I was working as a electrical contracts manager for a business what I actually served my apprenticeship with as an electrician.
All right.
Unfortunately, they went bust, and I founded GW then. It's funny, really, because it stands, the name, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have called it GW PowerSafe. That's its full name. And the reason why it's called that is because initially my intention was to do like gas servicing, water hygiene testing, like electrical compliance testing, you know, for like schools, and be more of a management company. But because my background's contracting, like anything, your network and stuff like that, people reached out to me, said, can you do this job for us? And, you know, when you're just starting a business up, you take opportunities, don't you?
Yeah.
And I fell back into being a contractor, in essence.
And I guess since you've started that journey as well, the landscape's changed a bit. It's a lot more focused on sustainable and being green now as well. So I guess that might have influenced, if you were to choose a name now, we'd probably touch on that side of it, maybe.
The business it's been going 10 years this year. So it's developed massively. You know, we're probably going to turn over in the region of £12 million, I reckon, in the next financial year. Got a really healthy order book. The business now is actually made up of 3 separate departments. So we have the projects department, which is pretty much what GW started as, where we work on construction projects as a subcontractor, carrying out mechanical, electrical services.
Yep.
And that can be in like buildings such as schools and, you know, offices, factories, that sort of stuff. And we do projects up to around 4 or 5 million mark at the moment in that department. We also have a minor works and maintenance department for commercial electrical and plumbing work, so that could be somebody like a factory ringing up, you know, with a leaky tap and they just need an engineer out to them, or, you know, like a small refurbishment job. And we also recently, within the last couple of years, started a department, energy and retrofit. So that's very around sustainability, delivering low carbon technologies like SOS heat pumps, solar panels, you know, insulation upgrades, anything you need really to help a building decarbonise.
So what takes up most of the time, I guess, like if you divide that up into percentages, is there a clear divide there, or do they cross over quite a bit?
It's difficult because, you know, construction projects are large value typically, because we manage a lot of suppliers in that construction project. So that could be specialist contractors like fire alarms and, you know, intruder alarm companies and stuff what we won't necessarily do in-house with our own engineers.
So you've got to collaborate a little bit with external,
We'll collaborate with a lot of suppliers. So they're like high value. The energy and the retrofit is actually high value because a lot of products, imagine if we're installing like a large solar system, a lot of panels, it makes up a lot of money. Minor works is, you know, small. It could be a minimum call out charge to somebody, like I said, just to go and fix a leaky tap in the factory.
Sure,
so I would say that the main growth is in the energy and retrofit department. That's just like really taking off, especially working alongside our sister company C3 Group, which is a sustainability consultancy.
That was my next question, really. So obviously there's 2 things that keep you really busy here. So C3, do you want to tell me a little bit about that? Yeah,
so C3 Group came about 2 years ago. I was actually sort of thinking, you know, there's a real demand for renewables, but a lot of my existing clients and just people I'm talking to in my network and, you know, other business owners, there was a lot of confusion around decarbonising, not knowing where to start, getting accurate information from them, like what it's going to cost.
And I guess going to like different companies for that information as well, like not having one point of call.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a USP there. So
Yeah.
like, you know, both companies, C3 Group and GW, we offer an end-to-end building decarbonisation service. So like a lot of clients, like public sector clients, if they want to decarbonise, they'll go to a consultant who'll put together a feasibility, a design, and then it'll go out to contractors who'll then bid for that work separately. But we sort of tie it all in together, including applying for funding for the clients as well.
So I guess if a client wants to go down this journey, decarbonisation, you've set up so that they can come and speak to you and you can look after them?
Yeah, well, sustainability and building decarbonisation, it's a very collaborative approach. It needs to be collaborative because it's very performance driven. You know, the stuff what you're putting in has got to actually do what it says. It's got to reduce carbon and it's got to reduce energy costs to make it.
So you've got to have data for that as well.
You've got to have data, and you know, traditionally, somebody might bring in a construction company, which there is a need for that occasionally. But what you tend to find in the construction sector, due to the margins and the competitiveness, often stuff will get valued, engineered out early in a project, and then the performance come the end of the project won't be there because they might swap some sort of product like an air handling unit, for instance, to another cheaper alternative that won't perform the same.
Okay, right.
So the client will get an upfront cost saving on the capital, and they'll think, great, we're saving X amount on this project. But what they don't get told is about like the operational costs at the back end, and the fact it isn't going to perform and be as energy efficient as the
lifespan
model.
As well, I guess, might come into it.
Yeah. So that's why I think, you know, it's really important that you take a collaborative approach. And if you're working with one company both companies, C3 and GW, together with one point of contact, you know, you're getting that information, open book, you know, transparency, because it's a collaborative approach from the full journey.
Is there like a bit of a case study or like an example you can tell me of what is that end-to-end process like? I mean, challenging you to kind of condense it because I imagine you could probably go on for 20-30 minutes here, but in short form, you know, what's that end-to-end process of taking a customer through that journey?
So we're currently working with an NHS trust at the minute. It's a Yorkshire-based NHS trust, and the process started with them. C3 Group come in. Yeah. We carried out a low carbon energy strategy on their building and some of their other estate. We then looked to apply for funding for them through the public sector decarbonisation scheme. And when we do a low carbon energy strategy, what we're looking for is quick wins. So we'll prioritise which are the best options to decarbonise that building and get the most for the money, the biggest return, most carbon savings, you know, the quicker the capex pays off. And that's what I
guess from C3, that's the biggest point of it, right?
Yeah, and that's what the funder's looking for. Then you have to put together typically you have to put together a bit of a feasibility or concept design. So C3 will also do that. So we worked with the NHS to put that together along with the funding application. So this particular project, it was taking gas boiler out, upgrading the building management system to be more energy efficient,
right.
And then also putting some solar PV on the roof. So what we're doing with that, so we're putting the funding, we was successful on the funding. So I think there was awarded £1.2 million. Then obviously then we can progress that design further to more of a technical design where contractor or delivery expert like GW Power can install that product.
Yeah.
And the beauty of the end-to-end service is GW Power gets involved early up front, whereas typically a consultant would get involved, put together a budget for the funding application. Yeah. Unfortunately, we often see when it goes out to tender and the contractors are going to deliver the job, it comes in way over budget what the consultant. So
which you can't predict beforehand because you're not expecting them to do that.
Yes.
That legwork before.
So the beauty is GW will work using their commercial experience to put together a cost plan for C3 Group to include within the funding application. So the client has cost certainty if they're successful in getting the funding. So we're actually doing a project at the minute. It's just about to start on site next week, actually, where GW have been awarded now that the delivery works of the air source heat pump and the solar. And the client has actually direct awarded us that through one of our framework agreements. So GW won a number of framework agreements specifically for public sector decarbonisation. So what that is it's a pre-approved route to market for cost and quality. So basically a client then doesn't have to go down the lengthy tendering process. They can come straight to us.
Yeah.
We're on agreed set rates. They can place an order complying with all procurement, and they can get the product installed quickly, which means then they can start saving money because they're generating electricity through the solar and stuff like that. There's also another bit to be conscious of there is often funders required to spend the money within a set period of time. And
okay, so you can work with a time frame on that as well.
we can move fast, whereas when you're using multiple different suppliers, a consultant, a contractor, there's different stakeholders and it slows the process down. And I've seen countless times where, people have been awarded funding and only been able to spend, 30-40% of it. Yeah. So that, in essence, that pain point there, that's a perfect example of a client's pain point, what they've got and, why I looked at co-founding the business with Ash Ray, who, it's funny, I saw a post on LinkedIn and it was like he was describing everything, what all the pain points, what I just mentioned.
Right, yeah.
And met him for a coffee and we sort of found it. That's how it
so
got out.
Why are others doing this? Because it sounds like this is the logical thing to do as well. Obviously, you've seen that kind of niche in the market. Is it something that's niche locally? Is there others doing it nationally? Like, why are you guys doing it really good?
There is a lot of large tier one construction companies trying to do the turnkey approach, but typically the mechanical and electrical sector is very, very outdated. It's business as usual for them. They do the same as what they've always done. Net zero and achieving net zero targets, it's still quite early on. So
it's because it's a fast-paced, fast-moving kind of industry, really.
Yeah, it's growing massively, and that's why we've seen the growth in that department at GW. And C3's it's 2 years old next week, I think, and it's flying. It really is flying. It's got massive potential.
So you said 2 years old, and you've just celebrated 10 years with GW as well.
Yeah.
What have been some of the highlights over the past 10 years with both companies, I guess?
I really enjoy business. It gets me up in the morning. I'm that type of person where I need something challenging, whether it be in my personal life with a fitness challenge. All I really do, I'm a bit of a sad, all I do is business, fitness.
Business is your hobby and
family.
Business is life.
Yeah, and I'm dad, and I take my kids on holiday, and that is me. And, I really enjoy getting up in the morning and building something. I'm quite creative, actually, and I've got a vision of where I want to take my businesses and, I do it. I enjoy the process. That's what and it sounds cheesy, but hand on heart, I really enjoy the process of business. Getting to setting a target and then hitting that target and setting another target and hitting that target. So that for me, I must admit, it's easier to run a bigger business than it is a smaller business. That is because you start bringing management in who can help you and support you, and you can. It's not as lonely as when there's 5 of you and you're the leader. And
well, just talk to me about that then. What's your team like? I mean, you're only as good as the team around you, really, and it sounds like you've got people in that you trust and that work really hard, work well for you. What's that team look like that you've surrounded yourself with?
I'm very fortunate. That's one thing. It's a strong point of mine, I think, is being able to build a team. I can see talent. Something I've always had a knack of doing.
Yeah.
I've got a senior. I've got a couple of directors now within the business. They've all come through management positions and been promoted to directors. Rob, my operations director, was the first manager I took on. And I'll be honest with you, I was scared to take someone like Rob on because, ultimately it's a big salary, very experienced person. But I was sort of forced into it because I was working 7 days a week and I just had my first son. and I want to be present. And ultimately, you know, I don't think I could have done it without taking a manager on. So I brought Rob in, and I soon realised he's a lot better at a lot of things than me. So I sort of like I doubled down on my strengths, which is probably like more the commercial side of things. And Rob's a very process-driven man, like operations, you know, and we complement each other. And Rob was a big part of our early success. And then since then, we've brought some other absolute talent through the door. And that's how we've grown GW. And then a couple of years ago, meeting Ash, the co-founder of C3, Ash is a lot younger than me. So I'm 36, just recently turned 36, and Ash is, I believe he's 26, 27, around that age. But it was...
Did he start C3 2 years? So young to start that then,
Yeah. So, like, me and Ash are very different in a lot of ways, but we're also very similar. We share the same ambition. He's like ruthlessly ambitious, the same as me, and I think that's why we click. And we work on each other's strengths, so we're really fortunate for that. But Ash heads up C3. Ash is the first of C3. He pretty much drives that. Ash is a very innovative man. He's looking for the edge on everything. Some of the stuff he's doing at C3, like it loses me a little bit, you know. But yeah, he's a talent, and he's far better than me at business, I personally think. So yeah, we'll see where Ash gets.
And then you've talked about, was it Rob at the beginning?
Yeah, Rob.
So that seemed like there was a little bit of risk there that you kind of anticipated at the beginning. What's your kind of thoughts on risk, and how have you used risk to kind of get both businesses to where they are?
I've always backed myself, confident in my own abilities. I work in a very risky sector, the construction sector, super, super risky. Companies are always going bust, always failing. You know, there's a lot of risk to manage, but I am prepared to back myself. And I think, you know, it's scary, but that's what gets me up in the morning. Like, just even every time you grow, you level off a little bit, and then I'm like, I want to do it again. You know, I want to do it again. I just
that appetite for risk almost.
I just love it. I just think there's that cheesy quote, isn't there? And it's like, the risk is taking no risk, or something along them lines. You know, my biggest fear, honestly, is not reaching my potential. Like, sounds gross, that doesn't it? Sound like one of them podcasts, like motivational.
This is one.
Things, no, do you know, like what you see on Instagram, like, where they're slinging motivational quotes. Absolutely minging, but
yeah, but they stand there for a reason, don't they?
But like I would hate to get to a certain age and think, I wish I could have grown that bigger. I could have done this. I could have done that. So I'm very fortunate that I have that sort of like mindset. It's sort of, I'll be honest with you, a few years ago I was unwell, and ever since then it put things into perception for me. At the end of the day, I'm very lucky. I've got a real healthy family. I'm not really bothered about it, as long as I'm fit and healthy, and everything else, that's the most important thing, isn't it?
So on that kind of theme of risk then, and making decisions, new decision recently to new premises. What's the decision around that? Can you just walk us through through this next step, I guess, isn't it?
Well, the current premises that we're in on Scott Street, I took 3 years ago, and I thought I'd be there a while, but because of the growth, unfortunately, like, I don't even have a desk in my own office anymore. So like, I just flutter around on a laptop, and if there's a spare desk, I jump on it, which isn't ideal. So I've been looking for a while. This has been coming for a while. I've looked all over. I originally was going to build something, but I was struggling to find some land. I wanted to build something net zero, so that, you know, it's in keeping with our business model. Can't find anything locally, and then something come up, and I'll be honest, I went and viewed it on a bit of a whim, and I was unsure, but it's in a very prominent position on the side of the A63, and I mean, it's old. It's like, it's going to be like polishing a turd. It's
a project.
It's a really big project. It's probably going to cost the same as actually building something. But I have to keep telling myself, I wouldn't have got something in such a prominent position. I probably wouldn't have got so much car parking. That's a major thing, car parking.
Yeah, well, just space generally is hard to get, isn't it?
So and it's got capacity for 40 people, I would say. I'm currently getting the interior designed. Obviously, we're going to take a real sustainable approach.
Yeah.
We're going to install a lot of technology. There'll be heat pump. We're doing something at the minute, or we're just looking at a commercial battery storage system, which no doubt will have solar, so that the solar will feed into that during the day. On a night, we'll buy green energy to top it up, and then during the day, we'll use that energy from the battery to run the business. As part of our roadmap to net zero and our carbon reduction plan, we've got to start looking at our carbon emissions as a business anyway. So that leads on nicely to my vehicle fleet, which I'm currently making electric. I've just got a couple of electric vans on hire. So the ultimate goal is green energy, charge my vans up.
Yeah, you're almost a case study for your own work, really, there, because you'd be pulling on a few different schemes that are available and ticking a few boxes and I guess practice what you preach, I guess.
Yeah, we've got an energy management system that we've been working on at C3. We've managed to get that in 12 schools now, so
that's cool. 12
of our clients, like we can help them with their energy costs. So it could be something simple. I'm tying on to this, but we'll look at putting this into the premises as well, so we can review where our energy is going. But that's a really exciting thing that we've built, because, for example, one of our school clients, they was having real high energy costs on a night, and we could see it. And we realised that they're charging iPads and tablets up on a night.
Okay.
So we switched their energy tariff to a cheaper tariff, and we saved them a massive amount of money across a few schools.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, it reduces their carbon emissions, but the main one was the cost, which was great, because then they can forecast that saving for the year.
Yeah.
All starting with being able to manage their energy and see what they're using.
How are you presenting this data to them then?
So they have a dashboard and they can log on.
Right. Okay.
But obviously we log on as well.
Yeah.
So that the reason why we made something is you can get products in the market, like off the shelf products, but every installation's different. Some sites have existing metering, what we can connect up to. Yeah. So we needed like something we could retrofit into existing buildings.
Okay.
So we decided to work with a software company locally to build something.
Oh.
It's not all singing, all dancing. It's very simple actually, but we feel as though sometimes that's the best route to take. You know?
Yeah, and I guess it's something which you can build on. So you kind of start slow with it. You just provide exactly what it needs to do, but as and when clients are needing a little bit more from it, you can add to it, I guess. And so you've got this product which a little bit unique, I guess.
It's actually good because a school academy trust has got it in, and there's again round decarbonisation, there's like a social value, so like they get the kids involved.
Yeah, okay.
So at the schools, we've created a league table,
right.
And throughout the year,
yeah.
They're trying to reduce the carbon emissions, but we can measure it on our energy management system, provide that data, and then it almost gets to schools.
Yeah.
Sort of competing with each other. Each school has an energy champion, and we'll go into the school and we're also doing like STEM activities. So we'll talk about different ways they can be sustainable and stuff. So it all ties in. There's it's interesting. It interests me as well.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke a little bit before about the kind of community side of stuff that you're doing as well. Like, what are you looking at doing? What's your thoughts on? I know we've spoke about like employment, apprenticeships, and what's the work you're looking at doing at the moment? And is there anything in the pipeline that you're going to be, taking your attention away from maybe these two businesses to stuff outside of that?
Well, I started my journey. I know I'm a businessman as such now, but I started my journey as an apprentice electrician. So I'm really, really big advocate for apprenticeships. I've got 7 at the minute, and I think I've got 4 on trial at the minute. So like every year we try and take on apprentices. Now, with building decarbonisation, there's a massive requirement for green jobs. massive. In the trade sector, construction sector, a lot of people are retiring. There's not a lot of young people coming into the industry. And it's not because they can't, it's just because people aren't prepared to give them a chance. And there's a bit of a stigma around young people being lazy and, you know, not turning up on time, but it's false in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, there's good and bad in everything. So, you know, I'm a massive advocate for apprentices. I work with Hull College quite closely, you know, other training providers, and it's something, you know, I've been thinking for a while about doing something where I can pull together local employers to try and get them to commit to taking on apprentices, but that's still very early days. It is something
It's like the beginning of that maybe we'll come back in a couple of years and
that's it. Yeah,
see what's come from that.
Yeah, but so I've been thinking of like a group or like an accreditation or something along them lines where you commit to taking on, due to your business size, I don't know, it'd be based on employees. If you've got 100 people, say, employed, you'll commit to taking on 5 to 10 apprentices a year in separate roles. And I think, you know, we just need people to make a commitment, especially business owners, because they're the ones who drive the economy and are going to get young people working. Getting an apprenticeship was the best thing that ever happened to me. I was lost at school. Yeah. I was really lost. And then all of a sudden I got this apprenticeship and I got with a real good employer who encouraged me and gave me a lot of confidence. I remember like being scared to go and ask a manager for something. Absolutely like shaking, but I had to because I was in a work environment. I was forced to do it. Yeah. And it just, you know, you get a bit of confidence about yourself. You start earning a few quid and, you know, and then, I mean, it's so rewarding. You should see some of the apprentices we've got working for us are absolutely fantastic now.
Is that one of the biggest job satisfactions you have, maybe, seeing the staff develop?
Yeah, it's massive. Like, a lot of people within our business have grown with the business. I'm real big on culture and, like, you know, sounds cheesy again, doesn't it? Because everybody says culture, but you don't make culture by sticking like a beanbag in the corner, having a breakout area with free coffee. You build culture by giving people opportunities.
Yeah, and relationships as well.
Yeah, working with people, you know. Everybody's different as well. That's one thing I've learned. Everybody has different drivers in their life. For example, you know, Danny Haley at 21, when I was coming out my time, I wanted to earn as much money as I possibly could because I wanted to buy a house. Yeah. But then Danny at 30, when I've got young children, I want like a bit more of a work-life balance. And, you know, as an employer, that's in my opinion, that's really important that you get to know your team and you work with them because it changes as well.
That'd be interesting to see kind of what you develop over the next year or so, and yeah, love to hear more about that when those plans come out. Do you want to talk a little bit about the award you've won recently? With Octopus Energy, is it?
Yeah, really nice. I was very surprised actually, but Emma Hardy, local MP for Hessel and Hull, she put me forward for that. So Octopus Energy give me an award for our work that we're doing in decarbonisation. And, you know, I went down to their headquarters in London. I got to spend a day down there. It was really good, actually, because I met some of the wider team, like the marketing director and, you know, just all sorts of people across the business who spoke to them about what we're doing, and they offer some great advice. Yeah. You know, and it was really
Which I guess you can't get over phone or email, like having those opportunities to meet people.
Yeah, got to meet the co-founder, Chris, who somebody I really admire in business, obviously. We're in they do domestic predominantly, air source heat pumps, solar and that sort of stuff, and energy, whereas we're more commercially biased, but the principles are the same, you know. It was really inspiring to go and, you know, see this massive big office and, you know, I just... Yeah, come away like thinking I'm going to take over the world.
I was going to say, does that give you motivation? Like, is it what gives you the motivation? Is it recognition of it? Is it the opportunity to meet these people? Is it what part of that journey of going for that award process give you that motivation?
I'll just like to learn, and you know, I study successful people. Like, you know, I read autobiographies, all the books and stuff like that. But like, if there's somebody who can do something that I want to do, I want to learn how they they've done it. So for me to go and meet him and how he's scaled this humongous business, it's just amazing. Like, you know, because it's far bigger than any business around where we are regionally in East Yorkshire. So it was really nice to meet them.
What's some of the behaviours that you've observed or learnt from people in those positions that you've taken on board?
They don't fear failure.
Right.
They don't fear failure, and they feel it's almost like a confidence. When I've met people from who own or founded big businesses, it's like, I'm sure they do have self-doubt, because I think everybody does that, but what I get from them is a confidence where they're in control of the narrative. They feel like they can, you know, if there's a problem, they can sort it.
Yeah.
I personally like that feeling. I feel more comfortable. Like, you know, I feel it's like almost like people say, how do you sleep on, like when you run a business and you got all these big salaries and you know, every month but I feel more comfortable because I'm in control, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember, you know, Rob Daisley Designs.
Yeah.
I remember when COVID hit, he wrote a little blog post about how he saw the big positive of COVID, and he I can't remember what the title was, but something along the lines of thrive in a bad situation. Yeah. So he was like, he saw the opportunity to be like, great, we've got a disaster here. I think that was it, thrive in a disaster. Like, got a disaster and I'm loving it because now I've got some problems to solve. And I think if you take that mentality with it, then it's only good.
We did that in COVID. We had our best year ever in COVID.
Yeah, I think we did, to be fair, at the time. Yeah.
I remember Rob's my mate actually, and I spoke to Rob at the time.
So you've had a conversation with him about that then. Yeah.
I remember sending an email to my staff and saying that basically, while everybody else is contracting, we'll go and take the market. I worded it in a different manner, you know, but basically I said, rather than cut back on costs and put people on furlough and all that sort of stuff, what we'll do is we'll increase our advertising. You know, everybody who can't work out on site because the sites have been shut down, we'll bring them in, we'll get them a laptop at home and they can price projects, and we'll get as many inquiries in as we can. Yeah. So I took that like offensive approach, because I'd rather die in like expansion than contraction all day long. I'd rather go out fighting, do you know what I mean?
I think that ultimately that's the attitude, isn't it? Just which is part of that failure thing. Cause
I love it, mate. That's the sort of stuff that gets me up. I almost like putting myself under that sort of pressure. I thrive under pressure. I get bored very easy. I need to put myself out of my comfort zone. So.
And then we're saying about all that focus and attention on business, but then obviously you've got a family as well. You've just told me before we start recording this that you have a separate phone for when you go on holiday, because you need to literally take it away. What are some of the kind of not tips, but what's some of the stuff that you do that you make that divide? Because it sounds like you can't really cross them. You kind of have to divide them. How do you do that work-life balance?
Don't think there is such thing as work-life balance. I think it's a myth. I think sometimes I have to work. I have to put the work in, and everything else tips the other way. Yeah. Sometimes I'm dad, so when I'm on holiday, that's it, I'm dad. Like, you ain't getting an email out of me. I don't exist when I go on holiday. So it's been strict, but then also not stressing too much about. I'm still learning this myself, you know. I think no one gets this right. It's a myth.
Sounds like when you're at home, they just merged, but the holiday time, I guess when you jump on a flight, that's that time when.
The biggest thing for me is my fitness. You know, I do fitness. I'm really big on fitness. I do fitness for mental health. Like, I feel good when I'm training for something. So saying about putting yourself out of your comfort zone in business, I do that with my fitness. So I'll always 5 weeks ago, I tried to run the Yorkshire Three Peaks. I cockled, sprained my ankle, and I haven't been able to run for 4 weeks.
Did you run through it? How'd it go?
I tried to run it off, but if put it this way, my ankle's still swollen now. 5 weeks
6 months of damage.
So I it was a bad.
But I bet that must be killing you now, because you probably can't have that intense training that you used to. Yeah.
I've just started again this week and just started running a bit on it, but still swollen, so I do probably need to get it looked at. But I'll set myself challenges. I do these Hard Rocks events, these fitness events. I'm always following a training plan. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, I need, I'm a real odd guy. I need structure,
Yeah,
but I hate it at the same time. But if
Yeah.
I don't have it, I get a bit.
Do you have to like book onto classes for gym and stuff? Is that like?
No,
is it
I train on my home. I
Yeah,
train
independent.
I train on my own at home. I've got a home gym. What I built, I invested quite a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
And I remember, I got one just before COVID, just to put a treadmill and stuff in. Like I built like a cabin at the bottom of the garden.
Yeah.
And my missus said to me, "You'll never use that. You'll never use it. Literally use it all the time."
Every day.
And then back in last year, I built another one, like alongside it. So I have one like which is like a cardio room. It has like has a rower, ski egg, bike egg, treadmill in it. Then I have another one which has a little. It sounds like I'm loaded here when I'm talking about it. It has a sauna in it. It has a cold plunge, and then it has a rack with like weights.
Sort of fitness part too.
Yeah. So like, what it is for me is because of the busyness in my lifestyle, I prioritise my fitness first. So I get up at 5, I do my workout.
You're cutting travel time out there, right? Like,
Yeah.
What's the travel time? 10, 15 seconds?
Well, that's it. That is that time. So if you look at going to a gym, getting showered, coming back, there's an hour extra there. I ain't got that hour. I'd rather spend that hour with my family, or I'd spend that hour at work.
Sure, yeah.
So that's why, you know, I do my fitness. I'm really good. And I find when I'm fit and healthy, that's when I am the most efficient.
Yeah, most focused as well.
I do my best work when I'm in my routine. So when you come to balance, you know, it's not. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I have to work and I don't get my fitness in, and then you know it swings.
It's more just structure, innit? I think if you structure your day out, it sounds like you've got that structure. If you're giving yourself those tools to do that, then that work-life balance myth.
Yeah, it's a massive myth.
Yeah. It needs rephrasing that, I think. 'Cause a lot of people, I'd say, would agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd rephrase it, but some sort of structure.
God knows. I think like what I was just saying a minute ago. Everybody's different as well. So like I used to hate early mornings. I still hate them.
Yeah.
Like my mates take the mick out because they say I'm one of them 5 a.m. guys who gets up and I hate it. It's not my choice, but what I have to do at that time before family gets in the way, before business gets in the way. It's the only time of the day my phone doesn't really like go off. So it's important for me. It's priority to make sure I'm fit and healthy, so then I can be a good dad and then I can be a good businessman. And you know that's why I do it, even though I hate it. I have to drag myself up. I have to make sure I go to bed early so I can get up as well.
Great. I think we covered quite a bit there. I think it sounds like you've got an exciting year coming up, really. Obviously, with a new move, some nice projects coming in as well. Some that are starting. I know some that you'll be tendering for. Do you do like 5-year plans? Like, I assume do you plan it? I mean, you always hear like with successful business people that plan and structure is the way forward, but you'll often hear these people where it's a lot more kind of opportunity driven rather than here's my 5-year goal. Like, how do you see that?
With GW, I could have grew in terms of revenue hell of a lot quicker, but I was always scared to go too quick. Everybody, like friends and peers and stuff, will say, "Oh God, you go quite fast, anyways." But for me personally, I don't feel like that, and that's not being arrogant. It's just like I didn't do it as fast as I knew I could. Yeah. I must admit, this last year, to jump up from like 6 million to 12 to 15, something like that, is quite a big growth. But you know, I want to push on a little bit now. In my mind, I want to see where I'm at when I'm 40. So I've got 4 years. So I want to push it hard for the next 4 years and see where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
I don't have any like intention of selling up or anything like that. You know, not even thought that far ahead. Everyone always says like, "What's your end game?"
Yeah, it's a common question, isn't it?
It's like I'm 36. I've got years left in a working career. What I'm going to do? Retire and just like.
Well, like it sounds to me that work almost is your hobby as well. Like you're passionate about it and you enjoy it. So why would you want an end game of something, an end strategy when you enjoy it right now? Obviously that'll change in 20, 30 years, no doubt. But right now, what's the point of focusing on that?
I must admit, I do have ambition of owning other businesses. Like I would like to probably grow by acquisition, even if I owned another M&E company in a different demographic.
Yeah.
We've literally just set up a Leeds office just to reach out a bit further to West Yorkshire. It's good for hiring staff as well. There's a bigger pool of talent there.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, you know, but like sort of in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I might start pushing and looking for other engineering bias companies and grow a little bit in that sort of arena. I don't know yet. I changed my mind, so I don't know. But what I do know is I enjoy business. So and I like to challenge myself. I've always had a bit of a thing like maybe I should try something completely different, just a completely different business. I'm like I say, I'm into my health and fitness. You know, there's a lot of stuff in that arena. If I wasn't so busy, I'd probably look at doing something in that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Interesting. Well, I think it'd be good to have you back later in the year anyway, or month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is, and just keep updated because got an exciting year ahead. But yeah, thanks for coming down.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.
Speak soon. Cheers.
Okay.